Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Dhira Vanachari Yamuna Dhira Vanachari Yamuna Dhira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Padmahansa Padabrajacharya Astasata Shrishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Gaura Premananda Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shishi Guru and Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah. So reading from the 10th canto, and we're in chapter 44, the killing of Kamsa, and text 14. Huh? Yeah. It's a beautiful verse. So Gopyas Tapaha Kim Acharan Yad Amusha Rupam Lavanya Sharam Asamodham Ananya Siddham Drigbihi Bibanti Anusavabhinavam Durapam, Ekanta Dhamma Yashaha Shriya Aishvarasya Gopyastapa Kimacharan Yadamusharupam Lavanya Sharam Asamodvamananya Siddham Drigbi Pipyantanusya Vabivanavadurapam Ekanta Dhamma Yashasa Shriya Aishvarasya Gopyastapakyam Acharanyaramujharupam Lavanya Sharam Asamodvamananya Siddham Jigbi Pipantya Nusavabhinavam Durapam Ekanta Dhamma Yashasa Shriya Aishvarasya Gopyastapakyam Acharanyaramujharupam Lavanya Sharam Asamodvamananya Siddham Drigbi Pipantyanusavabhinavam Durapam Ekanta Dhamma Yashasa Shriya Aishvarasya Gopyastapakyam Acharanyaramujharupam Lavanyasharam Ashamodvam Ananyasidam Digvi Pipanjanusavabhinavam Durapam Ikantadama Yashasa Shriya Aishvarasya Gopyaha, the gopis. Tapaha, austerities. Kim, what? Acharan, performed. Yat, from which? Amusya, of such a one, Lord Krishna. Urupam, the form. Lavanyasharam, the essence of loveliness. Asama, asama urdvam, not paralleled or surpassed. Ananyasiddham, not perfected by any other ornament. Self-perfect. Drigbihi, by the eyes. Bibanti, they drink. Anusava abhinavam, constantly new. Durapam, difficult to obtain. Ekantadama, the only abode. Yashasaha, of fame. Shriyaha, of beauty. Aishvarasya, of opulence. So translation, what austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness and is not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is the self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. So we can repeat. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes always drinking, they always drink, the nectar of Lord Krishna's form, which is the essence of loveliness. It is not to be equaled or surpassed. That loveliness is the only abode of beauty, fame, and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh, and extremely rare. And the purport, the word, the word meanings and translation for this verse are from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 4:156, which is basically the exact same thing. So Omajana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm going to read a couple of purports by the acharyas. And the first is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And there's a little bit of conversation for those of you not familiar with these that's going back and forth with quotes and responses and a little bit of expansion of what's being shared. And then I'll go on to a couple of other things that it inspired me to think about. Those who have accrued heaps of pious activities are born in the land of Vraj. Among them, the gopis are the best. That is expressed in this verse. What austerities did the gopis do? If anyone is omniscient, then please tell us what austerities they performed. We will perform the same austerities and be born as gopis in Vraj. They drink the nectar of his beauty, while we, at the arena, drink the poison of his injury. We sit here filled with fever from the tips of our nails to the tips of our hair. By mentioning that, as a result of austerities, they could see the beauty of Krishna's form, they also indicate that it resulted in being embraced by his arms, which could not be expressed in words on that occasion. One should not say that he is most excellent because of his superior beauty. Rather, the essence of all beauty was his swarup, lavanya saram. As the earth seems inferior to Swarloka, when we see his form, it just appears to be the best. But if we go to Mahavaikuntha, we will understand that the form of Narayan is much more sweet. To answer this, the women say, this form of Krishna is unequaled, asamordham. There is no form beyond this. From who did Krishna receive this form? They answer, from no one. This form is intrinsic to him, ananya siddha. That may be so, but if these women constantly see this one form, it will no longer be so amazing after some time. And they answer, his form becomes newer at every moment. It is forever increasingly amazing. Then other people can come to Vraj and see this form at leisure. But this form is also not available to even Lakshmi. Let that be. His beauty is his super excellent quality. But Narayan and others are more endowed, having 6 opulences. And they respond, Krishna is the shelter of all these opulences, a kantadam, such as fame. And Jiva Goswami comments, how unfortunate we must be since we have not seen him as described in the previous verse. The following verse also refers to the gopis. There is no avatar equal to him. What to speak of being superior to him? The gopis drink that form out of thirst as if it were nectar. This form is constantly fresh, anusavabhinavam. The form constantly increases in novelty with appearance of prema arising from the manifestation of the increasingly beautiful form. That form, the supreme alabhana, belonging to the Lord, Ishvarya, is sometimes seen instead of Amusya. Endowed with all wealth, fame, and beauty, it is extremely rare for Lakshmi and others. His beauty cannot even be described, since when the writer begins to write, he becomes bewildered. So what to speak of our understanding? The previous verse could also indicate the good fortune of all the inhabitants of Vraj, whereas this verse indicates the good fortune of the gopis. Some women with the highest skills speak this pleasing statement in words pleasing even to Shukdev. What worship of the Lord Tapaha did the gopis perform to get this result, which is beyond words and mind? Which for us, if we understand this process of Krishna consciousness, is that it, again, it's not about just written letters and it's not just the mind's speculation. It's about realization within the heart and that realization coming to fruition. If you know, then we are also eager to perform this worship. What austerity did they perform, and what austerity should we perform? They did not perform austerity, since austerity alone cannot yield such results. He can appear in this way only for his eternal consorts. That is because that is the supreme form. They cannot have done austerities because with their eyes they drink the form of he who cannot be described, even when present before him, amusha. So just imagine that being present before him. There's no words for it. It's only in the heart. That form has the highest beauty in each limb. Though they drink continually, the sweetness does not diminish. By hinting at, like most relationships in this material world, honeymoon and then downhill from there. That's my spiritual master said. By hinting at their thirst, Shukadev compares that form to an ocean of nectar. If seeing him gives such an experience, what will embracing him do? What is the beauty of that form? It is the best part of all shining beauty, Lavanya Sharam, or that form is most intense with beauty. The Lord has unlimited appearances in this world. They are also like this. This form is unequaled. If this form does not exist elsewhere, how did he attain it? He has this form by his nature, eternally, Ananya Siddham. Fame, beauty, and power indicate all six of his qualities as Bhagavan. He is the eternal shelter, Ekantadam. If the gopis see this one form at all times, they will not feel astonishment at all times. That form is increasingly afresh. If that form is in Vraj, others can see it also. It is rarely seen, since others do not have such prema. That form appears to the gopis because of their fixed absorption. It will not manifest in any other condition. So, what does that say for us? No other condition except for total absorption in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so what we understand is that we're attached to this material world. And the only way to become detached in this material world is to become attached to Krishna. And so, in order to become, at least for me, what's strikingly important about this is the way to become attached to Krishna for me is to understand that he is the ultimate shelter. There's absolutely no other shelter in this material world to pull us out of any misunderstandings, any poor, bad, mischievous consciousness, this, lack of vision that we have to see things imperfectly, this tendency to lie, all these different qualities that come with being attached in this material world. And why are we here? Because we thought that we could be the controller. We thought that, somehow we knew better. And so our heart shifted. And so did our vision. It became covered. So again, for me, what it's about and getting to that place where the gopis are, where they have that total commitment to Krishna and that there's, nothing else but Krishna fixed in their hearts and in their minds and their thoughts and their words, constantly being so absorbed. And knowing that that's the condition that I have to be in order to have my direct connection and relationship with him is this need for shelter. Like understanding that Krishna is my ultimate shelter, that he's the ultimate answer to everything, and the avenue to that, the avenue to my heart is the chanting of the holy names. That chanting is everything. It's the pastimes, it's his name, it's his form, it's his qualities. It's also the medicine. It's what purifies the heart. It's what it's if you think about it, it's like Krishna. When we take the holy name on our lips and on our tongues, he's dancing there. But what he's also doing is he's entering our heart and he's removing those layers of lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, billions and millions and trillions, infinite, billions of layers in our heart. So just think about it as we're chanting. He's going in there and he's doing this surgery and he's pulling off this layer and he's pulling off this layer and he's pulling off this layer. And he does it because he loves us so much. And he loves us so much that he's willing to go into that dirt. And obviously, he's not affected by that. We understand that. But his willingness, you know, to be the chariot, to take a shooter position and, you know, but to go in and be Arjuna's chariot driver. He's willing to go in there and take off these layers because and he's helping us, right? And we're responsible. We have responsibility. I talk about that all the time um, when I share in class, is that we are definitely responsible. It's not that we're just saying, okay, go in there and do it for us. Okay, I'm not doing anything. It's We've got responsibilities to do, um, but it's about a relationship. Um, and developing that love for Krishna. So it's about the shelter. And so it's interesting because I went to the Bhagavad Gita, look up shelter. And so I went to the S's, and there is nothing on shelter under the S's. But where is that shelter? It starts with a K. And so I had to go back and look under Krishna, and that's where the shelter is. If you're going through the index, that's where our shelter is. And I was like, oh, well, that makes perfect sense that there's no other place. And so there's three things that came up as I was looking under the S's under Krishna. And there was shelter, of course, but there was that he's the ultimate sanctuary. He's the supreme savior, and as the ultimate shelter. And so I wanted to share some of that. In 583, well, it's 37 of chapter 11 in the Bhagavad Gita. One, O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe. That's his potential. He can give the whole universe and universes, um, this refuge. You are invincible, the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. And so, if we go, I'm going to read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Um, it's 37 in chapter 11. So by this offering of obeisances, Arjuna indicates that Krishna is worshipable by everyone. He is all pervading, and he is the soul of every soul. Arjuna is addressing Krishna as Mahatma, which means that he is most magnanimous and unlimited. Ananta indicates that there is nothing which is not covered by the influence and energy of the Supreme Lord. So understand that there's nothing that isn't covered by the influence and energy of the Supreme Lord. So our foolishness is to think somehow that we can do better than that somehow we can turn our face from that, and we've got this, we're under control. It's about our happiness, and it's like, it's almost like we're rogue cancer cells, and, because of that, there's all this contamination and destruction and pain and suffering that comes from that, that lack of knowledge of connecting to Krishna. And so when we get to this place where we understand, and the next sentence is that he is the shelter of the whole universe. If we decide to understand that and accept that, take the responsibility and make that choice, because it is about choice. It's always about choice. We always have free will. And so if we make that choice to take shelter of Krishna, then we start to heal and we become part of the whole body, and then it's healthy, right? And then there's no cancer there, there's no pain, and there's no suffering. And it's not that Krishna's contaminated by any of that. Of course, we understand that, but it's our own consciousness. It's a cancerous consciousness. And it's that consciousness that, gives us so much pain. Arjuna also thought that it was fitting that all the perfect living entities and powerful demigods offer their respectful obeisances unto him, because no one is greater than him. Arjuna especially mentions that Krishna is greater than Brahma because Brahma is created by him. Brahma is born out of the lotus stem grown from the navel of the abdomen of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who is Krishna's plenary expansion. Therefore, Brahma and Lord Shiva, who is born of Brahma, and all the other demigods must offer their respectful obeisances. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that the Lord is respected by Lord Shiva and Brahma and similar other demigods. The word Aksharam is very significant because this material creation is subject to destruction, but the Lord is above this material creation. He is the cause of all causes, and being so, he is superior to all the conditioned souls within this material nature, as well as the material cosmic manifestation. He is therefore the all great supreme. And so again, this reminder of who Krishna is and why we should take shelter of him. And not, and certainly to understand him in the form of Ishwara or the controller is really important. And to give all respects is reminding us the entry point for being able to understand him, which is humility. We have to have humility in order to approach the supreme personality of Godhead. He will knock every single last drop of pride out of us, misappropriate pride out of us, in order to facilitate that relationship. So this is a reminder, that to be respectful, to understand who he is, but that's only a preliminary step. On the other side of the curtain is, Krishna playing his flute in the spiritual world, having these amazing interchanges with his devotees, right? These loving exchanges. And so then, if we look, 851, that's the next one. As the Supreme Savior. So if we go to text 66, which is, obviously a very 1866, sorry, 1866, is abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So the Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion: knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religions. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. So that's the benefit of taking the shelter, of understanding that he's everything in this world, and that if we, accept that responsibility, if we turn our face back and our heart and our body and our mind and words back to Krishna, that he will protect us beyond anything. And just imagine what that feels like internally, what it feels like to be fully protected. And no matter what you come up against in this material world, how satisfied, how much gratitude and grateful and how fulfilled you feel when you've gotten to that place, and how you can walk around with that feeling and face anything. And because ultimately you're understanding your love for Krishna in that place, right? And so then you can walk out into the world with that in your heart, and how amazing that must be. And that's what it's all about, is for me, again, this is what stood out so significantly, was, just how overwhelming it is. And I'll give you a very, very personal example, is that at a very young age, my voice was taken away. And I've been trying to find my voice for the last, 60 years now? We'll say 55, 6 years. I'm trying to find that voice. And it's been such a struggle because, part of it is, becoming defiant and defensive, and trying to establish my voice, or to play the victim, and be in that place with my voice. But I came to the understanding that if I have this relationship with Krishna internally, nobody can take that voice. My voice is there. Still, yet again, the need to protect myself and to have, that defensiveness, and I've gotten to another step, and I've gotten to that place because of a very significant tool that Krishna brought to us, and that's the spiritual master, right? And because of the spiritual master, we can have the courage to face all the different struggles and get to this place of understanding what real shelter is. And that's what my spiritual master's done for me, because what he did and has done is he helped me understand, not he, what's the right word? He acknowledged my existence, and he acknowledged my voice, and he gave me a place to exist. And I'm realizing that for the first time after 60 years. And there's no gift greater than that. And I say that because in this verse, I'm seeing, how magnanimous and amazing Krishna is, and how magnanimous and amazing his pure devotees are, and what gifts they give. And so, it's an example, at least for me personally, and Prabhupada's example and my spiritual master's example of understanding what a true loving relationship with Krishna is, by taking shelter of Krishna, by trusting him implicitly 100% that if you follow his instructions, you will achieve the goal. We hear that so many times, right? And can be encouraged by that. So, again, this gift that has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada and all his endeavor, all his blood, sweat, and tears to bring this process to us, and his flexibility, his liberalness of accepting people where they are and trying to encourage them that no matter who they are and what they were doing, to pick up this Krishna consciousness just as it is, just as you are, and just do everything for Krishna, right? And understanding what real sanctuary is, what real shelter is. And so if we go to another verse here, which is 18 of chapter 9, I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation and the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. So I'm going to read just a little bit of the purport. It's just an amazing, and there's this final statement in one of the paragraphs that's really amazing. Gati means the destination where we want to go. I guess where that is with Krishna, right? But the ultimate goal is Krishna. Although people do not know it, one who does not know Krishna is misled, and his so-called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. There are many people who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods, they reach different planets known as Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, Marhaloka, etc. But all such lokas or planets, being creations of Krishna, are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Such planets, being manifestations of Krishna's energy, are also Krishna, but actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. One should directly approach Krishna, for that will save time and energy. For example, if there is a possibility of going to the top of a building by the help of an elevator, why should one go by the staircase step by step? Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. And here's the statement that just struck me in the heart. It was just like, yeah. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing can exist. I mean, what else is there to understand is that, Krishna's the supreme ruler because everything belongs to him and everything exists on his energy. And Krishna is situated in everyone's heart as the supreme witness. The residents, countries, and planets, all these places to exist, all these countries that we're supposed to be citizens of, these homes that we own and supposed to give us shelter from the weather and all these other things. But where's the real shelter? The real shelter is in our loving relationship with Krishna and understanding that through the guidance of the spiritual master, and then taking up the chanting of the holy names of the Maha Mantra and purifying our hearts and understanding those words and going deeper and deeper into, because there is nothing else. I mean, I've been through, you can't even imagine some of the things that I've been through, or maybe you've been through some amazing, amazingly difficult and challenging things as well. But, getting to this place after 60 years of traversing this material world and practicing Krishna consciousness for the last practically 20 years, you know, um, I've come to the place where I understand, as any situation comes up, no matter what that situation is, the only answer is the chanting. It's absolutely the only answer, because, what's going to change my consciousness? What's going to change my mind? What's going to change my heart, my understanding, of anything, of how to deal with any circumstance and have the right attitude towards it, how to adjust my own attitude, how to be happy so I can maybe help somebody else adjust their attitude, is the chanting of the holy name. That's where happiness is, because it's non different than Krishna. So that's where our relationship is. That's where our love is. That's where our real love is. And that's, getting to this verse, and understanding, this conversation that these ladies are having in this arena, as Krishna is destroying our kanksa, our demoniac mentality for us, you know, and then thinking of the gopis and their relationship, and all the austerities they performed. And, you know, it's really simple. It is an austerity. There are austerities that we have to perform, but the real austerity is just saying that all these material things don't really have any value unless they're utilized in Krishna's service. All these material things don't have any value unless we understand where they come from in the first place, right? All these things don't really matter. You know, we have to be AK ha Kuranandana. We have to be one pointed, and just realizing that if we tap into that, Krishna is everything. And we're part and parcel of that. We've just separated ourselves, in a consciousness of materialistic separation, not spiritual separation. That's it. It's a perverted reflection of real separation. You know, real separation is understanding that we're not, we're distant from Krishna, versus thinking that we should turn our face and walk away from him because we want to satisfy our own desires and our own senses. So I think there's just only a few minutes left. I don't know if anybody has any comments or thoughts. Yes. What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, the way I kind of the analogy for me is like he's the perfect surgeon, because he knows exactly how wide and deep to cut. He knows exactly where to go in, to pull out whatever it is. And yes, he will send whatever circumstances will facilitate our Krishna consciousness, and will push us towards the chanting of the holy name, right? Because the more challenging, the deeper we want to go. And not that we, should always just want to have painful situations to go through. We should understand that there's a loving relationship, and we should have this joyful relationship, and understand that anytime we may not be doing anything, where we can really totally focus on it, we should do that, and learn how to, focus even when we are doing other things. Sometimes that's more difficult. I think of Ladini Devi Dasi's story. She was one of these amazing devotees who came early on, and there's a book written about her. And She's the one who went to Africa with Bhakti Tirtha Swami, ended up leaving her body in doing service. But one of the things that always stood out for me is that no matter what service she was, she always had books of Prabhupada's as they were coming out, and she was constantly reading in between services. She was constantly engaged, no matter what it was, doing it for Krishna, who's very attached to Jagannath deities, and she would take them for rides, and but every minute that she had, she would take to infiltrate her brain, and with this Krishna consciousness. So all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Association of Devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Radha Golokananda Ki Jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanganda Maravindalaya Tatam Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaratam Tandar Bhako Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Andaniya Sakale Priya Pritimanti Vasyanti Vikayanti Gira Vedanti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Tamaham Bhajami. Adipurusham.
Jaya Madhava Jaya Te Radhe Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Madhava Dayate Damadara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Shkuta Brinda Vipineshe Damadara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Shkuta Brinda Vipineshe Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Shkuta Brinda Vipineshe Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Harini Shkuta Brinda Vipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate Radhe Madhava Dayate Rishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Visake Rishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Rishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Rishabhanu Dadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Saki Guna Ramita Vishake Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate 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 Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Karunam Kurumai Karuna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Karunam Sute Karuna Bharate Sanaka Sanatana Varnita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayate 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Lokananda Radhe Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Go Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gorni Tai ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai. Haribo. O Radha, all glories unto you. All glories unto you, beloved of Madhava, object of worship for all the young girls of Gokula. You address yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you. You are the controller of Vrindavan, the pleasure groves of Lord Hari. You are a new moon arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu. You are the friend of Lalita, and your wonderful qualities, friendliness, kindness, and faithfulness to Krishna, endear you to Vishaka. You are an ocean of compassion, and your divine characteristics are described by the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. O Radha, please be merciful to me. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Srila Rupa Manjari ki jai. Chaitodarpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairavya Tanjikairataranam, Vijavadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, Pratibhanam Purnamrita Swadanam, Sarvatma Snapanam, Parmijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis, Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala, Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi, Durdaivam Idrishami Hajjani Nanuraga, Trinada Pisunichena, Tarora Pisuhishuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari, Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim, Kavitam Va Jagadishakamaye, Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare, Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoita Ki Twahi, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha, Kripayatavapada Pankaja, Stita Duli Sadrishim Pachintaya, Nayanam Galashudaraya, Varanam Gadgada Hridaya Gira, Pulakarnishitampa Pukada, Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati, Yuga Yatam Namishena, Chakshusha Pravashayatam, Shunayatam Jatsarvam Govindam Virahename, Ashlisha Vapadamritam Nastumam, Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva, Yatatata Vavanitolampato Mat Prananatatsu Savanapara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It is the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, and oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O mighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Rajnanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shastika Kija. Kirtan tonight from 6:30 to 8. Mahamantra has Prabhu has organized this, and it's really, really nice. So please come from 6:30 to 8 here in the temple room. Haribo.